Hello, everyone, everywhere. This is Bob Thibodeau with the Kingdom Crossroads podcast, and you are listening to the Going North podcast with my good friend Dom Brightman. Be sure to subscribe to his podcast so you will not miss any of the upcoming episodes, and be blessed in all that you do.
Today's episode is sponsored by book number 2 from Dominic Dom Brightman, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. It is the field guide to help unleash the elite performer that is inside of you. Cop it today on Amazon.com or heading over to dombrightman.com and snag it in book, ebook, and audiobook so that way you can take it on the go and get yourself on the go to your northbound success. And today on the Highlight Reel, builder for authors known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, we got another super special, awesome human for you today, my friends. That's right indeed. Courtesy of my good buddy CEO. That's right indeed. I ain't talking about the state of Colorado. I'm talking about Kathy O'Sheim, indeed. That's right indeed. That's right. The lady who has been known to be as sweet as pie and has one of the best smiles ever. That's right indeed. Full of joy, that one. And she's one editor because she hooked me up with today's guest indeed, y'all. That's right indeed. Because today's guest, folks, that's right indeed. A wonderful mother. She's also an entrepreneur and a fellow child of the king as well indeed. So that's right indeed. So Christian swag ahoy. And to make it even better, not brother, she's a traveling emergency room nurse. So let's say hello to the nurse indeed. Let's give it up for Miss DC, who's not in Washington, D.C., the one and only Delpha Clarke. How you doing today, Delpha?
I am doing awesome, Dom. I'm so grateful for such a lively and boisterous introduction. I am happy to be here.
Oh yeah, happy to have you too. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. You're freaking there. You finally joined the business of immortality. New shiny book, first one ever. How does it feel?
It's unbelievable. Who would have thought Delpha Clarke, the little Jamaican girl, would be able to write a book? It's a feeling that I cannot in a lifetime describe. I don't have the words, and I get emotional over it to see that I have accomplished this. I have gone this far, or I have come this far. It's just amazing, and it feels really good, and I know it will be a blessing to others.
Oh yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. It's a joyous occasion. That's right indeed. When you finally get to say, "I'm a published friggin' author," y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Hear me roar. That's right. Lions made and
Yes.
all, even though there's no lions made at the moment.
It's just wonderful. I want to go on top of the mountain and I want to shout, I did it. Yay, I did it. It's just awesome. Yeah, it is.
Sweet. That's right. She did it, y'all, on top of the mountain, indeed. So, my goodness. So, as with all introductions, they only cover a little bit of material. They don't usually cover the whole backstory, and it's your first time on the podcast. So, my goodness, my filling us a bit in on your backstory, how you got to where you are today, where you got the Moses swag with the 2 tablets, aka your first ever book.
My first book. You know, I started writing down. This is such a surprise. I started writing because I was angry. I was angry for going through a divorce. I got a divorce, it was not in my plan, and it made me so angry. So I started to write, and I wrote 6,000 words, and I was like, this is the first ever I'm writing so many words. And I said to myself, this needs to be published. So I went ahead with my 6,000 words looking for an editor. And then I found Kathy. God sent her to me. I did not merely choose her of my own will. I think God guided her to me. And let me tell you something. She has been an inspiration to me. She's my coach. She's my mentor. She's my everything. And I know I could not have done it without her. And I'm telling you, this is how I started. I started out of anger, writing this book out of anger. And when my editor read it, she said, "Oh my, this is so interesting. Tell me more about Jamaica. Tell me how you grew up. You are 23. You have 22 brothers and sisters. So in total, there's like 23 of us." And it was unbelievable to her. So she wanted to know my story. So I started writing my story. And the divorce is such a small part of my book. I mean, writing what is cathartic for me, or the book was cathartic in itself, but I have grown from writing it. I have grown. I have transformed into a better person that I now am. There was a lot of issues going on, a lot of struggles, but I overcame them through writing the book, and Kathy helping me and guiding me, and it's just unbelievable. And that is how I started to write. I started to write because I was angry, but I am no longer full of anger. It's just joy and peace within me now. And that's the beauty of writing. That's why writing for me is a pleasure.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about. Pleasure indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness, it sounds like you've been one of the part of the many marriage casualties of the pandemic, where it took a lot of folks, his
Mm-hmm.
marriages and relationships. My goodness, channeling that rage into 6,000
Mm-hmm.
words, and then realizing, thanks to some wonderful advice, be like, hey, so where's more stuff? The whole Jamaica piece. So my goodness, like 20. Wait a sec. If I'm not mistaken, 22 other siblings.
Yes, Dom, it was my father. My father is my father, or was my father, because he passed away several years ago. He was an awesome man. He was a very loving gentleman. Yes, 23 of us. He was not playing. He had 23 of us. And the thing about having so many siblings, you always have someone who has your back. And it's, to me, I don't refer to my brothers and sisters as family. I call them my tribe, because we are so many, and wherever you turn around, there's someone always there willing to help you. I mean, we grew up in poverty. I grew up in a shack, and it wasn't it was hard, because some days we face hunger. We face hunger to the core. And in spite of all of that, it taught us to bond together. There is unity. We work together. Up until today, we are very close. We are very united. And because of what we faced, all of those little struggles that we went through as kids, it bound us together as one. And that's the amazing thing about it. We were poor, but there was love, there was unity among us. And that in itself is a blessing. And I really appreciate the fact. Let me do not get me wrong, Dom. It's not that I want to go back in poverty, because if I had to choose, I would choose riches over poverty, because it's a struggle. But let me tell you, all 23 of us, it was just amazing. It was just simple amazing.
Amazing is right. And the same woman too, right?
Dom, you know better. No. You see, I don't believe in saying half sisters or half brothers. That's not how we were grown. No. My father had several women, different mothers. My siblings, we are all not from the same mother, but you cannot tell us that, and it's a culture where, at the time, it is believed that the more kids you have as a man, the stronger you are. And this was how it was looked upon in those days. I was born in the late 70s, and men would go around and they would applaud you for being a strong man. But the thing is, the cultural mindset, it's so wrong, because my father had several of us, and we went through a lot. We should not, as kids, we should not suffer hunger that much. We should not um be walking on the street barefooted. We should have food, clothing, and shelter. And I love my father to death, but this is the other part of it. We were poor, and the poor mentality is that the more kids you have, yes, the stronger you are, one. And another aspect of it as well is that we are considered to be their old age pension. Working in America, coming here from Jamaica, I came to America 5 years ago. And the culture here is such a vast difference between us, between here and Jamaica. In Jamaica, the elderly, you live with your family. That is how it is. It is. We don't believe in sending our mothers or our parents to nursing homes. That is not us. That is not our culture. And so my parents, they believe in having a lot of kids, because the more kids you have, the better you will be when you get older, when they can't manage on their own. And Dom, my mother now is 82 years old, and we serve her well because we take care of her, because we are our pension. This is we were our pension plan. But in spite of all of this, they did what they know. It was the best that they knew, how to grow us. But I want to break that cycle. I do not want to depend on my son as my old age pension. I want to make it myself. There is this burning desire inside of me to do more, to do better for my child. And I am working towards that, because I don't want at the end of the day, my son say, is burdened down with time of taking care of me, being responsible. I don't want that. I want him to realize that, yes, he has a mother, but at the same time, I am not your responsibility. I brought you in this world. I should take care of you. But it may sound as if I'm angry with my parents. I am not. I am just, because it's the only way they know. It's the only thing that, or I don't know how exactly to put it, but it's the only way they know. So that was how they lived.
So I'm talking about. It's a beautiful thing too to be able to really show respect for your elders and take care of them like that. Indeed, yeah. And I was curious about the 22 thing because we actually had a past guest who said she was a mom of 18 kids, and we're folks like, "Hey, wait a second, you got 18?" He's like, "Oh no, multiple marriages situation." So I was like, "Okay." I was seeing who's the record breaker here.
and oh my God, and everyone is like single birth, no twins, single birth.
Ooh.
Yes, single birth. So it was just amazing, though. It was amazing. Yes, it's an experience that looking back through the years, you're going to think about it. You're going to have smiles. You're going to have tears, because that's life. Life is like that. You will have tears. You will have joys, and we as a family, we experienced it all. We did, and we came out victoriously.
That's what I'm talking about. Victorious indeed. So my goodness, I mentioned that you were raised in the true part of Jamaica outside of the tourist parts dealing with poverty, and you're able to come to America and make a better life for yourself. So how was that travel? How was that experience? 'Cause I'm pretty sure you had to scrape and claw your way to get here.
Indeed. Yes, I remember days. I remember days where I had to either be selling chocolate on campus. Well, let me start by saying this. I decided I was going to become a nurse. Well, my father, he got very sick, and the healthcare system in Jamaica is not as savvy as in America. So I decided I was going to become a nurse. I didn't know how my school fee was going to be paid or anything. But the government started offering student loans. And I recall one morning I got up and I said I was going to the student loan bureau. And one of my sisters who was driving at the time took me there. I went there and it was 4 a.m. and it was the the bureau was going to be opened at 9. And there was this long line and people, they were sitting on the street side waiting. Of course, I joined them. No, when you go inside, they ask you to describe. They give you a form and they say describe your living condition. They only wanted to give the loans to people who were really destitute. So I described where I live. I didn't have indoor bathroom or indoor facilities like others. So I had to describe that yes, we use the outdoor latrines, or what we call in America's outhouse. So we had a outhouse, we had outside faucets. Nothing was in the house. We had zinc top roof, we had boarded structured building, and I had to describe all of this on the form. And of course, I got a student loan. But this was just one step. Yes, my school fee was paid for. The next step is how am I going to pay for rent? How am I going to pay for transportation to get to school in the morning or get to campus? So I started thinking outside the box. I needed additional cash. I could not go to my father or my mother and said I needed money. My mother, she would go around and she would do days work, we call it in Jamaica, where she would go and she would wash people's clothing and she would get a little money and she would take that home. And my father, he would do odd job. He worked here and there. He could not read. I mean, I learned how to read at the age of 12, and it fueled me to want more. I keep wanting more. So I would read everything in sight. And I decided that I was going to go to university so I can help him, because he started to get very ill. He was developing a heart condition, and among other things. So I decided he needed someone on the inside. So I went to university. I attended university for 4 years. While I was there, I would sell chocolate on campus. This made me feel weird, because here I was with some really rich kids, and this little black Jamaican girl was there, and I was limited in resources, and I needed money. I needed to buy my books, I needed to eat, and so I started selling chocolates because I need to cover all of those expenses. And I did that. And I didn't get, I can't say that, I would be lying if I told you that I got straight A's. I'm not a straight A student in university. I got my B's, I got 1 and 2 C's. But praise be to God, I was able to make it through those 4 years selling my chocolate, student loans. Occasionally, a friend would stop by. The church members would help me sometimes and give me a little change to help here and there. And this was what got me through. And God was leading me. He was guiding me. And I really, it makes me such a strong person today, knowing that I went through all of that. Where did my courage come from? Where did I get that determination? All I knew, Dom, was that I did not want to stay in poverty. I did not want to be kept down. I wanted to advance. I wanted to be a better person. I wanted to help my dad. And you know the good thing about all of this, that was so good about this, my father passed away in the final year of university, and I was there with him. The students in my class, they did the day shift and I did the night shift. And for those 9 days before he died, while he was in the hospital, we took turns taking care of him. And that in itself is so good. It's such a good feeling knowing that I could give back something to the father that I loved so much, who took care of us, who protected his girls, and it's just amazing knowing that I could help in his final days. And that in itself, being a nurse is so rewarding. It's not about the dollar, the money. It's not about material things. It's about truly giving your heart, truly caring. Every patient I see is like my father, and that's how I treat my patients up to now. I am one of Dom. If you're sick, you're gonna want me as your nurse. You can be sure of that, because I do care and I take care of my patients. And all of this stems from the fact that my father my father passed away while I was in my final year of nursing school, and that in itself has been a blessing.
Amen to that. Being able to take care of your dad like that, and so sorry for your loss of your dad. Know that there's probably days where still probably miss him a lot more than others. So definitely sorry for your loss there. Definitely indeed, definitely indeed. So my goodness, and being a nurse too, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, you actually didn't start your traveling nurse business until what was it, during COVID, right? Or was that, I
Yes,
guess, right
it
before
was.
COVID? Yeah. So my
No.
goodness, how was it like doing that and having to deal with a freaking world pandemic where everybody was a headless chicken?
Oh, I'm telling you, endless chicken indeed, Dom. Because I can remember one day working I'm an ER nurse. So while I was in the emergency room, I recall my supervisor, she's coming and she's saying, well, according to the CDC, we need to wear mask because this is now classified as a droplet precaution. So we have to wear our PPEs and stuff. So it was a time where, when it just started, people were indecisive of the steps to take. Is it droplet? Is it airborne? What are we going to do versus that? So it was a little bit confusing when we started, but it progressed and we start to know what to do. But those times working in the ER, it was a challenge. Now, where I was working, we had 1 in 4. So it would be one nurse to 4 patients. Some days you have 4 patients and who are COVID positive, and you are everyone is in isolation. So when you leave one patient room, you have to take off all your PPEs. And when you do go in the room, you are there for sometimes hours, because these patients, they often come in respiratory distress, and they're going to need a septic workup. And a septic workup is an infection we suspect that there's an infection in the blood based on how the patients present with low blood pressure, their pulse rates are fast, all of those things. So we have to go and we do a septic workup. Now that in itself is maybe an hour or two, and you have to medicate them. There's a time frame in which everything should be done. So you are in mask, you are in gloves, you are in a gown, you are wearing a cap over, or you're wearing a cap over your head, or you're wearing a shade, some kind of shield, and you are totally covered and you're moving, you're sweating, you can't drink any water, you feel, sometimes I would feel like dizzy, I'm gonna pass out. So it was a very, very challenging time. We had to, as nurses, I don't know how some of us survived, but it was challenging, but we got through. And when you leave that room and you make sure your patient is okay, you change, and then you have to go in another one and you have to repeat the process. So for the 12 hours, and we do work 12-hour shifts, nurses work 12-hour shifts, and for the 12 hours, that is how your day is, in and out. But before you go from one room to the next, you try and take a sip of something to kind of rehydrate you before you move on to the next. You care about these people, you care about them, and you want to make sure you give your best when you do see them. So it was emotional, it was challenging. Patients were very sick, they had fear in their eyes. It was a moment where you had to take a step back as a nurse, and you ask God to give you the strength to make the next step, because it was really a time of uncertainty, a time where people, they were dying from this disease. You yourself being someone, being someone taking care of these people, you put yourself at risk as well. And you pray that God give you the strength not to get this disease, and if you do get it, you will be able to recover. So we had our challenges during that time. Sometimes we had shortage of supplies, but we did our best, and we overcame. Yes, it was something else indeed.
Ah, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Indeed. I'm glad you did. Thanks a bunch for your service, indeed. That's right, indeed. Should give you all Purple Hearts, indeed. That's right, indeed.
The gratification that comes in when these patients, they recover and they remember the care that we give them, and they will come with gifts and they will say thank you, nurse, and our family could not be there, but in that moment you became our family, and we really appreciate it. And it's such a rewarding service when you hear patients can actually come back to you and say thank you. And that is why most nurses will push, they will continue to be a nurse, because of those moments. It's always good to say, as a patient, you return and you say thank you. It makes a nurse really happy. So it's not all about we are going from one way or the next. It's just that we care. We do care.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's what I'm talking about. Indeed. So, my goodness, since you're a lady of faith, I always ask fellow Christians to give their salvation testimony on the podcast. For those who may be curious, it's how'd you come to know the Lord as your Savior, Delpha?
my mother my mother decided she was going to be a Christian when I was like 2 3 years old. She decided she was going to become a Seventh-day Adventist, and she made sure all of her children went to church with her. And the church, it played such a significant role in our lives, because it helped us to be outspoken. From time to time, we would go and we would make a presentation at church, and this really helped us. And the other church members as well, they would sometimes bring us food or clothing because it was many of us, and we did not have a lot, but the church helped to provide for us. And my mother saw church as a way in which she can go to God and, tell him all about her troubles. And that was where she found her strength. Her faith in God grew, and my faith in God grew as well, because I saw sometimes where God worked so many miracles for us. I don't know where sometimes our food come from, but God just he just sent it. He sent someone. Either he's gonna give someone money to give us, or someone will come with a bag of grocery or something. And it's amazing how when you get up in the morning, I mean, I can recall my mother calling us to worship. So she had her six girls, and she would be like, from the eldest to the youngest, it would be like Judith, Shelley, Shireen, Susan, Gina, Marie. It's worship time. And every morning we would get up and we would get on our knees, and we would pray to God, and we would read the scripture, because we all knew that this was where we're going to get the strength from to go through the day. And I am so happy. I am so glad that my mother, uh, she found a refuge in God. Up to today, it's all about God. And if you meet her now, Dom, she will be telling you about the goodness of her of God. And we saw it. We grew up with it. So there is a God, and I do believe that He's still guiding my footsteps. He's guiding yours. He's guiding all of us, whether we want to believe it or not. And I am so happy that she found God, because with her knowing God, she led us to Him as well. And we could see that He brought joy in her life. And it was one way in which she was able to cope with her stress, with her struggle. And it was just wonderful. And today, being an adult, it's when I have my trials and my trouble, I know that there's a God, and I can always turn to Him, and He will guide me through the hardship and through whatever problems that I have. And I have always trusted in Him, and I will always trust in Him to lead me and to guide me.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about. Indeed. That's right. Indeed. That guidance. Indeed. That's right. Indeed. That's right. Indeed. So now that the book's finally out, what are you excited about for the future in the new year coming up, like for 2023? What are you excited about in this upcoming future for the next, I'd say, let's go for the next 3 to 6 months. What are you excited about?
What am I excited about? I am glad that I have life. I am glad that I have grown into the person that I am. Looking forward, I am excited about starting a new business. I am excited about going to California. I don't know what it will be like. I am leaving Florida. I'm leaving my comfort zone, but there is this yearning desire. There is this drive inside me to do more, to be more, to give more, to love more, and I am going for it. So I'm excited about going to California. I don't know what will happen, but I know God is leading me, and I'm going there, and I'm going to also start my second book. I have the idea in my head about my second book, and my everything is written down. So I am, as soon as this one comes out, it's on you. It is on you to own you. I will be looking forward in starting my second book. I'm very excited, Dom. Very excited.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about. Indeed, that's what I'm talking about. Indeed. That's right. It's on you to own you. That's right. Indeed. That's right. Indeed. It's on you to own you. So, if that book was a food, what would it be and why?
If that book was a food. Is it dumb? My book, it has so many different parts to it. It will make you laugh. It will make you cry. It will make you be mad at me because I did stupid. I did some real stupid things. So it will make you angry. It's a mixture of everything. So I would do a food medley, or let's do a fruit medley. I would put a little apple in it. I would put a little pineapple, some bananas, because it has so many different aspects of it. And when you take a bite, oh wow, you would enjoy it. So it would be a fruit medley.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about. Indeed. That's what I'm talking about. Indeed. Oh, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is if you wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're still in 2022, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would first take a look at myself in the mirror, and I would love me for me. I would say this big nose of mine, it's mine and I'm loving it. My dark complexion, it's mine and I'm going to love it. I'm going to love all the parts of me because this is who God created. This is how He wanted me to be. And I would just love myself. Because in loving myself, in loving oneself, you get to make better choices. You guide your path in a more in a way that is more governed by yourself. You are not waiting on someone else's opinion. Your self-esteem of yourself is not low, it's high. And so you will make more conscious decisions. And if I were 25 in 2022, I would look at myself in the mirror and I would say, darn, I'm a beautiful Black woman, independent Black woman. And I would be smiling and laughing to myself like I'm now.
Yeah, that's right. That black woman, y'all. That's right. Indeed. That chocolate. That's right. Indeed. That's right. Indeed. That melanin. Indeed. That's right.
Yep.
Indeed. The good stuff. That's right. Indeed.
The
That's
best
right.
stuff ever.
That's right. That stuff that's
Yeah.
good with 30 O's. It's good.
It is.
So I know what else is good is this marvelous book. So my goodness. So for those who need to keep in contact with you and keep up with your journey, what's the best way for folks to do so?
You can find me on my website, delphaclarke.com. So it's DEL as in Dell Computer, PHA. So it's Delpha and Clarke. Delpha CLARKE.com. You will find me there, and I am also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I am all there. Yes.
Sweet. Where are that right, folks? Head over to Delpha's site and today we're going to put a link to that in the show notes and be sure to snag some copies of our magical book and share it with your friends, family, cat, dog, camel, and penguin. Indeed. If you don't have a penguin, share it with a spider. Indeed. So that way, when they see a spider web, the book will be right there in the center. That's right, indeed. And they'll just have to realize, hey, you got to own you right now. Fight the spider and win. Get that knowledge. That's right. That's right, indeed.
Yes.
That's right, indeed. Now, if it's a giant Australian tarantula, avoid that thing like the plague. But still buy the book, though. Still buy the book. Still buy the book.
Yes. it, it will be inspirational, Dom. You will learn something from it. Yes, you will. And you will learn about the culture of the Jamaican people. Yes. Yes.
That's right. Delpha's going to give you the real deal, baby. That's right, indeed. And it'll be authentic goodness. That's right, indeed. That real knowledge for someone who's actually lived through the actual culture. I can give you the real deal, indeed. That's right. That whole hashtag authenticity. That's right, indeed.
Yeah.
That's right, indeed. So, any parting words before we close up shop, Delpha?
Yes. I would like to say, as individuals, let's love who we are, be kind and giving to each other. And it's a big world out there. We can't help the world, but those in our circles, if we can extend a helping hand, let's do that. And blessings come from the Lord, and it comes in many forms. And if you are struggling, if you're struggling yourself, if you feel that you're too weak, look inside yourself, because there's a strength in each and every one of us, and we can be more, we can do more, and we can give more.
Thanks a bunch for tuning in and setting aside some of your time to listen to this wonderful podcast, Going North. If you really enjoyed what you heard, do me a solid and share this with your network and someone that you care about that would get something out of it too. And be sure to subscribe to hear more, and heck, even check out the backlog if you would like, because there are hundreds of episodes to choose from, and they just keep getting better and not butter.